Tony, and welcome to Action for Aging, where we're tackling life's most underestimated season with intentional action and a big dose of self-love. So I had to take my son to VBS this morning, and my hair was atrocious. It may look funky, but guess what? I don't care, right? I mean, if you young people can wear your pants on the ground, pants on the ground, pants on the ground, we can wear our hair in a scarf. Now I have to tell you something, okay? If this channel ever gets to 100,000 subscribers, I promise you I will run out and get a tattoo. I do not have one anywhere on my lovely body. I'm not opposed to them. You choose yours, I'll choose mine. You do you, I'll do me. But I'm a big chicken and I like my skin the way it is. And so no, I don't have a tattoo. But if I hit 100,000, I'm going to get me a little tattoo. It's going to be right here, right on my wrist. And it's going to say IDC in some really pretty scrolly fancy font. And it's going to stand for I don't care. Not in a rude way, not in your face, but life, when you get to this season 50 and over, has taught you a lot of lessons, okay? You get that there are things that you can't change and you let them go. You release them. You don't worry about them. You live in the moment, kind of like you young people. See where I'm going with that? So yeah, I mean, I realize right now I'm watched by tens of people. Woohoo! But if I ever get a big number, I promise you I'm going to run out and get that tattoo. Okay, so I want to tell you a little bit about the history of this channel and why I chose to start a YouTube channel for people over the age of 50, besides the obvious fact that I myself am there. I worked as a cardiac registered nurse, and my favorite population of patients was those over the age of 50, and I had plenty of them because of working in the specialty that I did. What I found at the time, which at the time I was in my late 20s and early 30s, is that the more mature or older patient population, generally speaking, was more respectful, more grateful, and they were more tolerant of their circumstances. But most importantly, they were wise. I gleaned from them so many things that were so helpful to my own life and that I carry with me still today. And sometimes I try to reflect on, where does that love that I had for that older population, where does that come from? And I am certain that it comes from my relationship with my grandparents, especially my grandfather. On my mom's side, he and I were like two peas in a pod. He was a funny man. He told lots of jokes. He always had time to listen to what I had to say. He actually was very much interested in me and in what I had to say. And I felt very valued and validated by him. And sometimes there's just that one person in your life that you know is there for you. You know they really care that you are in the universe sharing space with them. And it was him. And it's why I went into cardiac care as a nurse, because he had heart issues, and I connected with my love for him and what I knew that he went through. And it was an issue I was always aware of. So yeah, that's kind of how I connected with the older patient population as a nurse. And it's what led me to realize I'm there now. I've crossed that 50 and over bridge, and I feel that our community, that we're underserved, and even that sometimes we're undervalued. It is the most underestimated season. As you know, I say that all the time, and I really believe that with all my heart. Don't underestimate us. We are not done living. We are not done giving and serving. We are not done sharing the wisdom and experience that we have with others. We are not done making a difference. We are here and we have much to contribute. So on that note, I want to share a story that I penned many years ago, and it was about time travel. Now, it involves my grandparents and where they lived. And I want to share that story with you today, and maybe that will just give you more insight into my channel and my view on the group of people, the wonderful, beautiful group of people that are aged 50, 60, 70, 80, and beyond. So bear with me as I read it from another prompter, and I hope that you can glean something beautiful from that today, okay? I absolutely love calla lilies. Every time I see one, I'm immediately transported back in time to the absolute best of times. My early childhood and days spent with my grandparents back in Pennsylvania. My mom grew up in a tiny patch town which sprung up in the first decade of the 20th century in response to the coal mining industry there. I would venture to say that maybe 300 people lived in her town. I think that's being generous. My grandparents had little in the way of material comforts, but they had what really mattered: a roof over their heads, enough food on their table, and deep, abiding faith that carried them through the very darkest of days, even through the loss of their daughter, Toni, after she gave birth to her first grandchild. Yet I, as a child, wouldn't have known that they had little, because in my little girl eyes, they held the keys to the kingdom, and I was always excited to head for their castle on the hill. Yes, their little town flourished on the side of a hill. There were only 2 bedrooms in Graham and Pap's house, 3 if you count the storage room that was maybe 6 feet by 10 feet at best, and it was once used as a bedroom as well. There were 4 of us kids, and we absolutely loved to pile into the down feather beds, 2 to a bed, to fall asleep to the sound of barking dogs in the distance and the smell of coal in the air. That little bedroom, to me, was a special place. It sat at the end of a short but curved hallway with a single sconce light on the wall. And I thought that my Graham and Pap were rich because really, who has curved walls, right? Mornings were always the same. I awakened to the smell of fresh coffee visible in the glass top of Graham's old percolator. And she sometimes gave me a plastic teacup filled with just a bit of coffee and a barrel of cream. I might have been 5 or 6 years old at the time and definitely not fond of the taste of coffee, but that mattered none. At Graham's house it was a ritual, and I was not about to miss out. Her kitchen seemed large to me as a child. In retrospect, I realize it was actually very small. I still remember the pattern on the linoleum and the lovely glass knob on the basement door, the canned sardines sitting in the pantry, and Pap's oak desk sitting in the corner where he would pay his bills. Oh, and definitely the warmth of the stove. But most of all, I remember the view from the kitchen window. It directed one's eyes further up the hillside to the cemetery that sat at the very top. That cemetery was where my Aunt Toni was laid to rest. Graham used to do the dishes there, no dishwasher in those days, and occasionally I would see her gazing up that hill. While I can't be certain, I do believe that she might have been with my Aunt Toni, if only in thought, in those moments. Time travel? I sometimes wonder if the view from that place in Graham's window brought both pain and peace. We loved to sit on the high front porch on summer nights after our baths, Pap listening to his transistor radio, mosquito coils giving off their familiar smell, and the glow of the imposing streetlights cast a radiance on our time spent together. Bowls of ice cream in our laps, we would sing songs, chat, and attempt to hang on to whatever time we had left before the final bedtime call was issued. Then off we'd go down the enchanted curved hall to our feather-down slumberland for the night. And that's when I'd always take note of it. The oval framed photo hanging just through the entryway that led to the curved hall. The antique frame with its beveled glass and youthful subjects. It was a photo of my grandparents on their wedding day long ago. My grandfather looked tall. He wasn't. And proud. He sure was. And my grandmother, she was the most beautiful bride I had ever laid my youthful eyes on. And those flowers, those magnificent, soft, and wonderfully curved flowers. I didn't know what they were then. I only knew that they captivated me every time I took notice of them. I'm not sure I ever ventured through that arched entrance toward the back rooms of Graham's house without taking notice of the wedding photo and the magical beauty of the calla lilies my grandmother held in her bouquet. So many years later, when I became a bride, I carried calla lilies in my wedding too. They were, are, and always will be a symbolic connection to that brief and precious time in my life called childhood. I love that they transport me back to a place of incredible love, safety, and peace. Time travel. Perhaps not unlike that kitchen window in the faraway place I sometimes noticed in my grandmother's eyes when she stood there staring up the hill. Only she knows the answer to that. And I fully intend to ask her someday when I am blessed to see her again. I ended that blog post with this final word. Love and miss you always, Graham and Pap. Wish I could tell you that in person on any given day. So there you have it, folks. This is my connection to the over 50 population. It was born out of my sense of tremendous love and value of my grandparents toward me, a young person. And if I can return that love and value to people over the age of 50, and I can serve that community with a voice, if I can help us to find a place of acceptance and common shared experiences, if we can let the world know we're not going away quietly, we have value right now in this season, then that's what I intend to do. That is the purpose of my channel. I hope that gives you greater insight. I hope you're having a wonderful day. If you haven't already subscribed, I would ask you to hit the red button below. There's even a little bell icon by that. If you were to go ahead and place your email address there, my content would come directly to your inbox so that you never miss a new release. I do release new videos every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. I may play around with that time in the future, but right now you can kind of count on that to be the case. But it won't be the only video I release. I am doing my best to bring as much content to you as quickly as I can. Also, if you like today's video, do me a favor and hit that like button below. It helps our collective voice here on YouTube as an over 50 group to be heard. It helps others to find us. And if you have any comments or questions, I highly encourage you to go ahead and leave those in the box below as well. I promise I will find you if that comment is there. And as always, you are valued and you are special in this season of life. So act on it. Goodbye, friends.